Hello. So today what I'm doing instead of the usual stuff is actually I'm trying to make a key. I have this old lock body and it has a small wording there and it has one lever to be pushed back that way and then the lock should open. And it's a bit special because it's has a locking pause here and here. And there's no ready key blanks, of course, for this, or close at least. So I found this one which has a hollow tip, but it doesn't quite fit. So what we'll need to do is do a few cuts and then see if simply cutting it here and then into the correct length as well will make a key for this. And let's see how that works and hopefully get a video out of it. Okay, so the first thing to do is what we're going to be doing is let's mark this so we know the length. So let's do this long cut first, and it's going to be tough to see, but roughly there we'll be able to make the mark. Let's see again. Okay. And then we get to maybe cutting a bit. Okay, so we have this on a vise and we can get the Dremel out and we can start cutting, and let's see if we're able to cut it from this angle all the way through with that one, either or. Let's see what happens. I have two key blanks. Maybe we get one done, maybe we don't. See from on another angle if it's cut to the right size. Doesn't seem so yet, and it's rather rough work, but we'll file it down later. Okay, here we can see that the bottom part I think was actually there, but the top is not, so we'll have to grind a bit more out, and we're not even at all, but you know, we're using a Dremel, so that kind of figures. So how far are we off? We need to take at least the same width still from the other side at least. So here we go again, and let's mark it. So we got that last bit off, and then it's still rather hot, so let's try to avoid touching it too much. Okay, and then do we get it to fit? No. Okay, so we still have a bit of a ledge there. That's maybe something we want to file off. And then we still have that wording. Now wording, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to push it with the Dremel first. So let's mark off that wording. Still trying to avoid touching the hotkey. That's down about right there. And we should make the wording go all the way. So we can use the Dremel bit to first cut the line, and then we can use files to make it nice and round. So back to Dremeling again. Now let's check if the alignment is correct. Yes, and we still have 2-3 millimeters too much, and the wording we started to create is a bit on the high end, But if we take out the file, I think the file will do a better job. But I think for the top, so much material still to be taken out, we might actually want to do it differently. Then the tricky part is that we need to figure out how deep does the key actually go. It would be the easiest when we can get this key in, we can push it all the way in, and then we can define the actual depth and then cut it to the actual length. So let's go into filing first, this down, still by 2-3 millimeters, and then we need to make the wording next as well. Okay, so we are finally actually quite close. I think we would most likely get it to fit at least partially if we would have the wording in place. So let's work on the wording next. On the wording, let's see if a more subtle approach will be better. Okay, so now we can see that this key actually goes in just a bit. So that means that the wording is in the right place and it's deep enough for a small portion. But what we'll need to do is of course make the groove all the way through and not bore you with that part. And I'll just keep on doing that. Now I think with a lot of filing, fiddling, everything, we have finally reached the bottom. So that is how deep the key will go. And let's see if we can somehow see it from the camera as well. It's going to be a bit difficult. There we go. There's a slight angle there. There's more. Okay, so now we need to figure out how to cut it so that we get in the right shape. Okay, so what I did is I marked with a marker the halfway point, or with a mark that I could see, and it's roughly about the halfway point. So basically we would need to cut this in half so that that nicer part basically drops in. Of course, if you could basically take the extra that way out, but that's not going to result into a nice looking key. So what we want to do is we want to cut it from approximately there, and then it should drop all the way. Now of course this will mean dremeling again. So you don't see it from the video, but it's a second day actually working on this key. So what we did yesterday, we cut it and made this rather okay looking dent, or how do you call it, into the key, and we got it roughly the right size. So now it actually fits in and we can turn it already. It's a bit tight here and here. We might still want to take a bit off. The real issue, however, is that if you notice that I'm turning it into this direction, which should basically be moving that part this way. So when you turn it this way, this metal rod should be going that way, and we should get something pushing down on this locking mechanism, and that's not happening. So the reason why it's not happening is it's getting stuck on this metal here. We need to make a dent the size of this metal so that the key can turn, and somewhere, let's see if we're able to, below that one or beneath that one, we can see barely there, at least from my angle, but most likely not from yours. Shadows will be coming in too deeply. Okay, but there's a very, very small part. There's kind of a punch like this one in this metal, so when the key turns, that should be actuating the lock. But what we need to do is make the dent, and it's a bit hard to measure from this angle, especially because there's the small plate below. But what we can do is, of course, use the top way here. Let's take the key out, so we know that that's up against the highest ledge, so we are able to use that point as the marker. So somewhere there we should have the mark. Okay. And like said yesterday or the previous time, I do have two keys, so if I make a mess out of this, it should all be fine. So roughly there we should make a dent. And let's still check from the top like that. I think that is a bit high. Actually should be a bit lower still. Let's see. Okay, and there. Yep, that could work. So now I think we actually still need to go a bit lower. Let's see this angle here. Yes, we do. Actually looks like a very small ledge going to the left on the key, so somewhere all the way there. And let's Dremel a bit off and see if that works. So we now have the small cut there, and we can check, is it the right size? No, it's still a bit small, I think. And we can check it by doing this. Well, no, it looks okay. Let's put it inside and see if it turns. Okay. There we can see it. It's almost doing the job. We still need to take a bit off. Let's do that. Let's see. Getting a bit excited about this. And hey! There we go. Got so excited that I got it off camera. Let's hope the key did not get stuck. No, not. Okay, so there we go. Key in. It raises nicely and turns the lever. Now we need to figure out what's still kind of blocking it. That part. Okay, so we're getting dents there and maybe a bit still here, so we can make that a bit nicer, of course, but that's deep enough. But let's still play around. It doesn't seem to be getting stuck on that. So it is actually the bottom, I'd say, and the top, which are still kind of grinding up. So let's take a bit off both, I'd say, and then maybe we have a file to make that nice and square. Yes, so we can fit that there and finish that off a bit later. Okay, we'll file a bit from both ends. You could do it only from this end, but this has so much more material. We want to do it from that end. Yes. Yeah, it's just only grease. Okay, well, now then the small final touches. So round the surfaces a bit, then maybe make that nice and okay. But there we finally have it. So we are actually able to make a key. And it works.